All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is the rental contract. So as you can see, that's going to be the step that you're going to do after you've added them to your calendar, right? So just a heads up on this, I do have a video inside of our PBI YouTube channel where I go pretty much into detail about all the things that we include in our rental contract. If you did buy from us, please know that you have access to this document so that you can tweak it and adjust it for your own business. If you did not purchase from us, I'll go ahead and cover the things that we do provide in our contract. Just know that this is just more so a guide for you to create your own. You're going to probably need to do it like on LegalZoom or just with a professional in your city and state according to your state guidelines. There's a lot of like legal parts that I can't necessarily give you advice for because each state is different on what they require. Now, I'm going to quickly cover this in this video just because I do already have a video that you can refer to inside of YouTube. So to start, we always provide a note at the top of our contract that stated that we required return within 7 days, or else we would add a $15 rush fee to their contract. We did this as a tactic to just try to get the contracts back as soon as possible, and you'll see why in a minute. But there's several parts that we need from the customer within the contract. And so we just, it's easier to plan ahead and prepare when the customer gives you this information. So you'll want to have areas where you'll fill in the event date, the rental time, the price, and then how much they paid for a deposit. You'll want to have your rules on date changes and cancellations, as well as damage to providers' equipment. This part right here, indemnification, limitation of liability, that's all of the like legal stuff that I recommend that you consult with a professional on. But I do recommend that you do that, at least just knowing that you only have to do it one time and then you'll be able to just use that same contract for the entire duration of your business. Gives peace of mind. So just know if you do have to invest a little bit of money to get a professional contract done, it's worth it. It's going to protect both you and the customer, and it's going to save a lot of confusion and misunderstandings. Okay, so once you include your legal disclaimers there, your legal notices, you also want to include maybe a model release. So you want to give the customer an option to say yes or no on whether or not they agree to like allow you to reuse the pictures from the event. And then you'll want them to sign and date it. And then these are the parts that we had the customer give us. And so these pieces of information you'll need as you're preparing for your event. So these are information on the actual event and who the best person you can contact the day of, their phone number. You can have them reconfirm the address of the venue, and this stuff up here is for billing. But you'll want to get their billing information for their balance due, and then you'll want to get their venue information just so that you can confirm it on the back end. Even though they've already given it to you once over the phone or via text, you want them to confirm one more time. The more times they can confirm these details with you, the better, because sometimes people make mistakes or something changes and then they forget to inform the vendor. So that's why we have this in place. The next section that we have is a section where they would pick their type of layout. And as you can see, we only ever gave our customers 4 different options. Now, you know that especially if you have darkroom, there's tons and tons of different layouts in there. These were just our top 4 that we presented to the client just because it kept things very simple. We could easily create templates based off of past ones. And sometimes the more options you give a customer, the longer they take to make a decision or the more confused they get. And so that's my tip there. As you can see, we have 4, and then 2 are photo strips and 2 are 4x6. So We did upcharge $25 for our 4x6. Again, I would probably change that to 50 now in 2020 and beyond. But yeah, then we would also ask them what they wanted the template to say, what colors they wanted it to be. And then we also had a little disclaimer that stated that they only got 2 revisions for their custom design. We learned that the hard way. We didn't have that on there before, and we would get people that wanted like 10 revisions, and it's just not really feasible when you're working 8 events on a weekend. So the next portion that you see here is a section where you'll be able to detail exactly what services you're providing. This is very helpful. You have to have a section like this that really breaks everything down and clearly states what they're paying for and how much they're paying for it. And then as you can see, we have another section here where we talk about another date and time. So anywhere that we could plug in another date and time, we did. I can't tell you how many times people thought that they changed the time with us and then never did. And we always referred back to the contract to state like, this is what you agreed to, and there's kind of no way they can argue with you at that point. So we had a full breakdown. Even if they paid a deposit, we would log that here, and then we would show what their balance due was there. And that way, whenever you're getting ready to charge their balance due, again, they have no questions and no issues with that. The next section here, which is slightly cut off, I'm not sure why, but this section kind of covers what you as a vendor require as far as space, power, any internet needs. So for us, we would require at least a 10 by 10 space. And this was an older contract. So you can see we at one point only required 5 by 5, but we increased that later to 10 by 10. And that way the customer has a space already ready for you. Ideally, they would read the contract. Some people don't, but again, this is just what we had included. And then we had notes that we did not allow kids in the booth without adult supervision. If you know anything about working some of these events, you know that sometimes the photo booth is used as like a daycare. So we had notes in there so that the customer couldn't get upset if we denied children taking tons and tons of pictures by themselves. And then as you can see, we also had a note asking whether or not the booth was set up indoors or outdoors. That's very helpful to know how you need to prepare for your event. And then we just had any other little disclaimers or notes. And then we actually required that they give us credit card information on their contract. And that way, 7 days before, we can just boom, 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 type it all in, charge the card, and then just send them a receipt. Okay. This is the easiest way that we found. And we always did collect money before working the event, because the date of the event, especially if you're working a wedding or something like that, most people are just not going to, stop what they're doing and then give you a card or give you cash. It's just too much, and you run the risk of not getting paid. So I recommend always getting paid beforehand, and this is how we did it. We included a gratuity tips section. Most people, if they were corporate, they would pay ahead of time. Some people that were for private events sometimes would give us a tip before. Most of them would try to wait, which is just fine, but at least you know that you're able to capture that tip if they prefer to do it beforehand. But yeah, overall, that's just a very quick rundown. I tried to keep this video under 10 minutes. Again, if you want the full detailed video, you can check out our YouTube channel and check out this video. So you can see I think this is my most liked video, which is great. So let me know if you have any other questions. I hope that was helpful, and let's keep going.